Hi, welcome to Bar Cart Bookshelf, a video series about books and the drinks they inspire. My name is Elias, and today we're talking about These Prisoning Hills by Christopher Rowe. These Prisoning Hills is a post-apocalyptic science fiction novella set in the foothills of the denuded Appalachia, there in southeastern Kentucky, right near the Cumberland Gap. And it is a deliciously weird story. Our main character, Marcia, a county agent in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, as we are a commonwealth and not a state, is called back into service after many years of semi-active retirement, where she's mostly focused on her own little area of control, and is called back into the Badlands area of the region, an area that has been denuded and destroyed by the machinations of the rogue AI, now defeated Athena Parthenos, housed originally in the statue of Athena Parthenos at the Nashville Parthenon. This is a book that is deeply concerned with place and with regionality in a way that I found really novel and exciting, especially as a Kentuckian, to see some bits that were both wholly alien as a result of the actions that separate this distant future, not so distant, from our own, and those bits of familiarity. I am looking forward to seeing reviews from both fellow Kentuckians and non-Kentuckians as the novella continues to be out here in the world. And because it is a book set in Kentucky, and because it is just so chewily, deliciously weird, I had to make a drink for it. So, without any further ado, because I will be able to talk a little bit more about the book while we're mixing today's cocktail, why don't we turn to our drink? Our drink today is called Brother Fortran Fizz. It's going to be a riff on the classic Fizz format, with some ingredients and techniques that relate specifically to the novella. And we're going to get started on that with a bar spoon of whole milk powder. As I mentioned, this is a post-apocalyptic sort of novella here, and so milk is hard to come by, but we see in the story that we've still got powdered milk, and that got me to thinking about the ways that I like to use the powdered milk in cocktails and mocktails we've seen before. So we're going to get a bar spoon of that whole milk powder in there, and it's really going to provide a lot of the really wonderful texture that we'll see in our finished cocktail. So we've started with our whole milk powder, and you really do want to get that in first because adding the liquid is going to help that to dissolve as we go along. Next, get one of our sweeteners in there. We've got honey syrup, one of the agents of Athena Parthenos, this rogue AI, are the bears in the air, and where there are bears, I smell honey. So we've got 3/4 of an ounce of honey syrup in there. It's really deliciously golden, made with local honey for me from right here in Kentucky, so really tied to the place as the novella is. We've got our 3/4 of an ounce of honey syrup. Next, got a triple sec here, an orange liqueur. At one point, Marcia, the main character, has an orange wire she's dealing with in a rather intimate way. And I have the sort of brain that reads orange wire, orange liqueur. And that's really going to pair nicely with our honey syrup, with our other ingredients here. So we're going to get a 1/2 ounce of that triple sec. And this is the Cardinal Spirits triple sec, made over on the other side of the river in Indiana, and with a name that shares the state bird of Kentucky. Our main character, Marcia, is referred to as Louis Cardinal, and associated with the cardinal bird over the course of the novella. So lots of little connections that you can play with here. We've got our sweeteners in with our powdered milk. We can give that a little stir now. We'll do that a little more in a bit. Next, we'll add our base spirit. Got good old Kentucky bourbon. This is that fan favorite of ours, the Jefferson's Reserve, made just about 2 miles from where I'm standing right now. And we're going to get an ounce of that in there. Swoop. There we go. Lovely. Because there's nothing more Kentucky than bourbon, is there? At least when it comes to what we do here. And finally, or not so finally, because we will have a finishing touch, we're going to get a little extra lemon juice. We're going to get an ounce of lemon juice in there just to brighten things up, to balance. That little bit of sharpness really brings things all together. And then, finally, for real, got these new bitters from Jack Daniel's. They are the Jack Daniel's Tennessee bitters. And given the nature of this AI of Athena Parthenos and the ability to infiltrate, I like the idea of bitters that accent, that bring a new dynamic of flavor and something that is quintessentially Tennessee. So we're going to get 2 to 4 dashes of those Tennessee aromatic bitters in our cocktail. Wonderful. Now you're going to want to stir just a little bit to help break up that powder, to help it dissolve. We'll be using our 2 shakes to help that further along, but given that you really want it nice and velvety, you do want to stir just a little bit. Wonderful. One of the things that I most enjoyed about this novel, or novella, as we get ready for our short shake here, is the way in which, amid the weirdness of it, there's clearly this sense of dealing with the surreal and dealing with the surreal in ways that are comprehensible. That things, agents of Athena Parthenos, are given names that would you can latch on to, rock monkeys or the bears in the air. So all of these things are still approachable to the people who have to deal with them, while being really clearly sort of otherworldly and having this sense of surreality that is really immersive when you're reading the novella. So we'll give that a dry shake just to help dissolve that whole milk powder and to give us a good froth. There we go. Classic fizz technique. You can use either the dry shake or the reverse dry shake, where you flip-flop these 2 techniques that we're doing. But with the whole milk powder, I really like the classic dry shake. It gives that whole milk powder a chance to fully dissolve before you get any ice in there. Now, gonna add your ice, and we'll do our regular ice shake. That shake that's gonna dilute, that's gonna blend everything together, and that's gonna chill things down. Wonderful. Nice and frothy and frosty. As you can see, we've got that frost there on the tin, and we'll let that drip down. Wonderful, wonderful. Now, because we've got this whole milk powder, and because we want to make sure that our cocktail remains velvety, I am going to double strain it, just to make sure that any little bits of particulate get caught and everything stays nice and foamy fresh. And as you can see, we do have our bit of foam. Get from the small tin, waste not, want not. Very well. Excellent. But, of course, as is always the case when we're using that highball glass, we've got some more space. So, to complete our Brother Fortran Fizz, got some plain seltzer, and I'm going to stick my spoon in there. I'm going to pour that seltzer down the barrel of the spoon. so that it's going right to the bottom. It's not gonna overflow quite so easily, and it's going to ensure that we've got a nice sturdy foam right there at the top. So you can see we've got our foam right there, and we're getting some separation from the body of the cocktail to that whole milk foam. And we'll top it just a little more. Now you can see what happens when you don't use the barrel. You do get a little bit of overflow, just to demonstrate the value of that barrel technique. Now, so that we get right into our cocktail and don't just get a mouthful of foam, we'll stick our stainless steel straw in there, and you're complete. So, there you have it. That's the Brother Fortran Fizz, in honor of These Prisoning Hills by Christopher Rowe. A wonderful book, really interested in the ideas about the future and about bringing the future to the Southeast and to the Appalachian region. I really enjoyed this novella. Got a link to snag it at one of our local indies down below, as well as a link to the Boston Shaker, where we get all of our tools and ingredients, a straw, the bitters, things like that. Twitter and Instagram, where there's always a written version of this week's recipe. Try the drink. Let me know what you think. Please like, share, subscribe. Tell your friends what we do here. And until next time, cheers.